Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture, and coming up today we've got further updates on the speaking out movement from Impact Wrestling and AEW. We've got wrestlers getting suspended, wrestlers getting sacked outright, lots of stuff going on. We're going to cover it all. Then I'm going to tell you all about WWE Backstage, the production of which has been scaled back, no longer a weekly show. And after that, we're going to talk about the card for Extreme Rules 2020 as it started taking shape on Raw.
Plus, WWE may be repackaging a tag team, and two people were traded to Monday Night Raw last night. This is the news.
Let's kick things off by talking Sammy Guevara. So, the man has been suspended by All Elite Wrestling after a clip from him appearing on a podcast where he made a really inappropriate joke about Sasha Banks back in 2016. It came back up on Twitter yesterday. A clip of it was doing the rounds. I'm not going to tell you what he said. Crude, tasteless stuff. Really, really awful. We don't want to repeat that here. But basically, that came to light. We then had an apology from Sammy a few hours later on Twitter, basically saying that he would never forgive himself for his behavior. He then issued another one tweeting directly to Sasha Banks, saying, "I want to apologize for my unacceptable comments. She's an amazing person who didn't deserve to be the brunt of my offensive remarks. I spoke to her earlier and she helped me learn a gigantic lesson, and I thank her for that. Once again, I am sincerely sorry." Sasha came through with a really classy statement of her own, really well handled, saying that she'd had an open discussion with Sammy. He had apologised, but such comments have absolutely no place in our society, regardless of whether they're jokes or not, noting that people need to be held accountable and that she hopes the situation will show that to Sammy. Some other really good stuff in there. Just the perfect rebuttal. Classy, professional, but saying, no, this isn't okay at the same time. We should note, however, that before the first apology from Sammy was issued, the guy liked a tweet that basically tried to absolve him of all blame. So there's layers to this thing. AEW, his employers, then came through with their statement. AEW insists on doing our part to create a world of understanding and respect for humankind. We therefore strongly condemn the extremely offensive and hurtful words of Sammy Guevara as such, effective immediately. Sammy is suspended without pay until further notice. He has agreed to undergo extensive sensitivity training, and upon completion, his future status with the company will be re-evaluated. During his suspension, his salary will be donated to the Women's Center of Jacksonville. Sammy was set to wrestle Matt Hardy on this week's Dynamite. That is now off. Matt Hardy will wrestle Santana of the Inner Circle instead. Loads of different things you can kind of look at here. I think AEW's response is about perfect, really. I mean, they're giving him a chance to learn, they're giving him a chance to grow. He's going to go and attend this sensitivity training, and hopefully the behaviors that caused this thing in the first place, hopefully they will be coached out of him, I guess, or learned out of him, whatever phrase you want to use. Putting his salary to a women's group is an ideal touch, because that, is going to hammer the whole lesson home even further. The comments were gross. Doesn't matter if it's a joke. Doesn't matter if he was just messing around with a podcast host. They were terrible, awful stuff. Doesn't matter that they happened 3-4 years ago either, man. Look, when stuff like this goes down, you have to demonstrate that you have grown and you've learned and you've fully accepted that these things are wrong. You have to show that. You have to show that you've developed the empathy. An apology often is just words on your computer screen. You need to demonstrate this in your behaviors. Following this, he will have the opportunity to do that. I hope he learns. I hope he grows. It was a dumb, stupid, irresponsible thing to do, but there is an opportunity for him to learn from the whole thing and move forward, and I certainly hope that happens. And another nod to wrap this segment up, Sasha Banks, tremendous handling of this whole thing as well.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much I need to add to that. AEW, as you said, doing the right thing, and yeah, Sasha, so classy, so well handled. Credit to her, considering everything that happened. And yeah, like you say, hopefully Sammy can learn and develop from that, because it was, as much as you want to argue it was a joke, it was sick, it was distasteful, it was inappropriate, and let's hope we can all move on from it going forward. Let's talk a little bit about Impact Wrestling now, though. They've announced several roster cuts as the hashtag Speaking Out movement progresses. The most notable name, of course, Joey Ryan, who PW Insider had previously reported was likely done with the promotion. He has been released outright, as has Dave Christ, while Michael Elgin, who was supposed to be in a match at Slammiversary, has been suspended. Impact released the following statement to the Wrestling Observer. Impact Wrestling confirms that it's terminated its contracts with Dave Crist and Joey Ryan effective immediately. In addition, it has suspended Michael Elgin pending further review of allegations of misconduct. Impact Wrestling, akin to AEW, doing the right thing and acting swiftly, which I argue is probably just as important, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you've got to show decisiveness with things like this. There's, I think, 15 Joey Ryan accounts so far. There's a couple from Dave Crist. Michael Elgin had a previous scandal in 2017. He's been brought back up again with further accusations and so forth. Impact have done the right thing here, I think. Yeah, I mean, credit to them for taking what I believe is the right course of action here.
And once again, we should just reiterate all the brave people who are involved in this hashtag Speaking Out movement. Hopefully this is showing that you can be the catalyst of the change that this industry clearly needs.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. It's like, must be the hardest thing in the world to come forward with stuff like this. And, you know, when you're not in that situation, where you're not one of these people who's had one of these horrible things to happen to them, the thing you need to do is sit back, listen, learn, listen to these people, listen to their stories, and, you know, absorb it all in, accept certain things, and move forward from there. Be empathetic and just be better. Be better. Like, that could apply to wrestling as a whole at the moment, obviously. Mm-hmm. We're going to pivot over now to some WWE-related news. We're going to talk WWE Backstage. WWE Backstage, in short, is no longer a weekly show. FS1 have halted that level of production with it. The first person to break this story was John Orand, I'm terribly sorry on the pronunciations, of Sports Business Journal, who said that it was being scaled back and that double-digit job losses at FS1 were expected. We then got some new info from John Alba, a Floridian reporter, very on the money with WWE stuff, said that Backstage will only be airing around big pay-per-views and other big shows. Around 20 people have lost their job or will be losing their job at the network. There'll be the cutbacks won't have any impact on SmackDown, which of course airs on Fox, though the network's plans to assemble a specific team to deal with wrestling and wrestling only appear to be over. Post-wrestling, John Pollock, do the bit.
No bollocks, just Pollock.
There we go. I've sourced a statement from Fox. It says, "Today we announced programming changes designed to better address the needs of our business. As a result, some positions in our production department have been eliminated." Backstage has been on the go since November 2019. Last week's episode with Bret Hart drew the second highest viewership ever for that show, 175,000. Airs on FS1. It's something like 11 or 12 at night. It's like a crazy time slot that a lot of people are just going to be like, I'm just going to go to bed. But, you know, it's a fun little diversion. It's a fun little thing to watch. By no means essential. But you get the odd scoop on there. You get the odd cool moment. It has given CM Punk an avenue to kind of sort of return to professional wrestling. But, you know, now we're only getting it for pay-per-views and stuff. No longer a weekly show.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Like you say, it's understandable from a business point of view. But it is disappointing. Like you say, I feel like the show... There was a lot of pressure on it to begin with, and then there was people arguing, well, you've got CM Punk on there, why aren't you doing ridiculous numbers? But I don't think that was ever going to happen, like you say, with not just the time slot, but the channel it was on. But I think it had developed a nice little niche, and like you say, some people really enjoyed it and got some interesting stuff off the back of it, and it was just a bit of something different from WWE, so it's a shame that. But like you say, at least it's not going all together, just going to be coming back around pay-per-views, which arguably might help the show a little bit, because sometimes, we know, reporting on it, the weekly product is kind of bland, and you don't really have a lot you can report on if it's, 2 weeks after a pay-per-view and 3 weeks before the next one. So this might help them, and hopefully it will find a new lease of life when it's under this new, smaller production and reduced release rate, I suppose. I just hope we get something off the back of it, because I do like the show. Let's talk a little bit more about WWE now, and they may be on the verge of repackaging the Forgotten Sons. This is all, of course, off the back of that idiotic Jackson Riker tweet a while back. Poorly timed, just no sense of gauging what's going on in the world, still inexplicably trying to promote a gimmick that his fellow stablemates were like, what are you doing right now? Well, according to WrestlingNews.co's Paul Davis, there's no word on when the Forgotten Sons could return to TV. Of course, we reported a while back that their title challenge has now been given to Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. A source, though, within WWE believes that Cutler and Blake specifically may be given new characters, as there is belief not just because of the ill feeling towards the Forgotten Sons as a result of Jackson Riker's tweet, but also just the whole gimmick. It doesn't really work because of what's going on in the world, and hopefully they can be repackaged and be given that appropriate push as a tag team. I've always kind of felt that with the Forgotten Sons, that it just sort of jars with what's going on in the world. I think this is probably the best for everyone.
Yeah, it's right on the edge, isn't it? It's right, certain verbiage that they use, the way they're presented, the way they put like their fists on their chest and stuff. There's allusions there to some very unpleasant elements of what's currently happening in the United States and around the world in general. So I think WWE are wise to move away from that for sure. Feel so sorry for Blake and Cutler. They've done nothing wrong throughout this whole thing. It's just their stablemates, silly, just really mistimed, really misguided, daft, dumb. I can't criticize that tweet enough. It was really stupid, really dumb thing to do. But good to hear that perhaps the innocent parties in this will be able to move forward and hopefully get back on TV, because they're hard-working dudes and they don't deserve to be tanked because their stablemate's a dumbass.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's talk about Extreme Rules. So this goes down in July. The first couple of matches were made official on Raw last night, and it looks pretty tidy. The first one, kind of weird this, but it happened. Drew McIntyre, I almost called him Drew Gulak, will be defending the WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler, who showed up at the beginning of Raw, interrupting Drew, saying, "Hey, remember when we were partners? Well, I'm taking credit for your success, pal, you owe me one." And Drew was like, "That's revisionist history, pal, but I'll fight you anyway." So they're having a match. It's going to go down. I can do Scottish voices because I'm Scottish, it's fine. Asuka will defend her Raw Women's Championship. It's against Sasha Banks, which should be really good. Asuka defended the belt against Charlotte Flair, beat her clean last night, tapped her out on Raw, tapped out Charlotte Flair, mental, good stuff. Another really good match. There, later on, Bayley and Sasha Banks are in the room. Sasha's going, "Hey Bayley, you've got 2 belts, I'm getting kind of jealous. I think I'm going to challenge Asuka, not you, hey, got you." Another little tease there. And the segment ended. Asuka came down, accepted the challenge, and then was locked in the bank statement to close the whole thing. So, really well executed couple of angles, I think. Sasha and Asuka looks tremendous in particular. Let's see what else comes, man. The pay-per-view at the moment looks pretty tidy.
Yeah, mixed emotions, understandably, after Monday Night Raw. I really thought it was going to be the night, Andy. And the way they set it up as well, title retention for Asuka. Don't worry, I'm not going to shout. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Title retention for Asuka. Title retention for the Street Profits. They won their tag team championship match against the Viking Raiders before being attacked by Andrade and Angel Garza. That seems to be the direction they're going to be going in. Then Akira Tozawa, we should mention, is the new 24/7 champion, given a little bit of help by Bobby Lashley, full Nelson murdering R-Truth, and Akira Tozawa just hiding underneath the ring and then sneaking in for the pinfall. And then it was the Women's Tag Team Championship match, and unfortunately, the Iconics couldn't get it done. Peyton Royce tapping out to the bank statement. One more match, please. Just one more match. But yeah, like I tweeted in the immediate aftermath of Raw, whilst I am devastated that the Iconics didn't win the titles, Jesus, Asuka and Sasha on pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. Shut up and take my money. And I would like to point out, Andy Murray, that all is not lost if you're a Wilborn stan, if you're part of the Wilborn brand, because guess what? Two out of 4, half of Titus worldwide have got championships. That's right, Akira Tozawa, Apollo Crews, we got titles, baby. It's all good. I'm okay.
That's an accurate statement.
Let me update you a little bit though on Dolph Ziggler. Andy mentioned there that he showed up at the start of Raw and is now going to be challenging for the WWE Championship. He wasn't the only one that traded to SmackDown in exchange for AJ Styles though. Turns out one Dolph Ziggler does not equal one AJ Styles. One AJ Styles equals one Dolph Ziggler and one Robert Roode. Remember him? They have both been traded to Monday Night Raw. Hopefully, this will give both characters a new lease of life. Like, I love what Dolph Ziggler's been doing with Sonya Deville on SmackDown, and having him immediately chucked into a championship feud, which he's inevitably going to lose before they set up, presumably Brock for Drew, maybe? Who knows? But I like that. Kind of annoyed that they didn't keep going with the Bobby Lashley stuff, but you sense that's going in a different direction now with Apollo Crews. But yeah, Dolph and Robert Roode. Obviously, Robert Roode not been seen for a while, but hopefully he can make a bit of an impact. He's probably going to show up just before Extreme Rules, or maybe even at Extreme Rules, Andy Murray.
Yeah, he'll be around again soon. I believe he is stuck in Canada because of the ongoing global situation, travel restrictions. So you'd fancy that as soon as those things are lifted, he'll be back on TV doing stuff with Dolph. Been a while, man. They could be a really cool tag team to have around on Raw, particularly as the Raw tag division at the moment is kind of farty with all the stuff that's been going on. Looking forward to seeing what they do.
Maybe Robert Roode could get a lift on Brock Lesnar's jet, because isn't he stuck in Canada?
He is as well, yeah. Brock Lesnar could probably, yeah, he could probably pay his way across the border. He'd do some crooked stuff. It'll work.
Or if he says, "Oh, Brock, can you give me a lift over the border?" Brock's like, "Oh, I can give you a lift over the border." F5s him over the border. Job done. There we go. All right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, you want to get in touch with those. Fatima Khan starts us off saying, should WWE extend the Banks-Bayley feud to WrestleMania? Or has it been dragged out long enough over the past few years that a match at SummerSlam or even Survivor Series would be better?
I think it would be very difficult for them to stretch out as far as WrestleMania, because they've already started dropping the teases and stuff, and we had another one last night with I'm going to challenge Asuka, not you, best friend stuff. So, now that they've started those, if they'd maybe held off on those until like autumn, fall, whatever you want to say, maybe WrestleMania would be more possible. But I think when you've started making progress already, you kind of have to look at SummerSlam or Survivor Series as the next stage.
I think it's ready-made for SummerSlam, and in my opinion, it should main event. It's the best storyline going into SummerSlam. It is pitched perfectly. I think you have the match at Extreme Rules, and then you slowly have the dissolution of Bayley and Sasha. I thought last night was going to be part of it. I thought they were going to have a schmoz, a bit of a confusion, and then lose the women's tag titles. But I tell you what, this new direction they're going in with Asuka is fantastic. I sense, yes, it's going to go down at SummerSlam. I pray that there is some sort of miracle that we can have crowds in there, but either way, I think it's a phenomenal feud, and like I said, it should main event. It's the best thing there. I'd rather see that rather than Drew versus Brock again, if I'm perfectly honest, Andy, in the main event.
Yeah, me too, man.
Second question today comes from, but what about the Attitude Era on Twitter, who says, does it make sense for an NXT women's tag team to take the belts off Bayley and Sasha? That way they can have the NXT teams promote NXT by going on to Raw and SmackDown, as well as giving more airtime to women on NXT.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because we've not seen, we had the match last week, obviously, but we've not seen a whole lot of NXT integration when it comes to these belts, and we were promised quite a bit of it. So, yep, I think that makes a lot of sense. You have to find the right team from NXT, though. I'm not the hugest fan of going, hey, Mia Yim and Caden Carter, you two just randomly team up and win the belts. I'd like to see a proper team come together and do it from there. You could do oh God, why is my name totally gone blank? Dakota Kai. And
Raquel Gonzalez.
That's right. I almost called her Raquel Diaz, which is a completely different person altogether. Stupid Andy. That would be a good shout, I think, because they have that existing relationship and that existing on-screen partnership. But yeah, it's a good idea, man. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Final question today comes from Sam Wells, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Sam. He got treated to a Bray Wyatt Funko Pop and asks, which wrestler would you most like to see in Funko form, Andy Murray?
I don't know anything about Funko Pops, so I'm going to say Gangrel.
Someone bought me a Mick Foley Funko Pop for Christmas the other year, and like I say, I have no interest in Funko Pops. So I was like, oh, cool, well, that'll look good on my desk, I suppose, even though I can't get to my desk right now. But if I had to pick someone, it's only going to be one guy. It's going to be the guy who should have won the SB for the Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award. Just missed out, but he's the winner in all of our hearts. Titus Worldwide, aka, of course, Titus O'Neil. He's the leader of Titus Worldwide. That's just taking a sabbatical, that group. It's not gone forever, please. It's not. Okay? Anyway, let's move on to today's and finally. And just a sort of weekly reminder we seem to have nowadays. Follow Malcolm Bivens on Twitter. He's the best. He tweeted just a few hours ago about his 205 Live debut. And he tweeted, proof that hard work, brackets, and flailing your arms outside William Regal's office while screaming you're the greatest cruiserweight alive, close brackets, pays off. Congratulations, Malcolm.
Good work, Big Malk. Love the guy.
Just please extend his character on NXT to more than just, bloke who stands next to Indus Sher and goes with his eyes. Like, he's so good. He's so good. Let him talk more, please.
He's a guy who could really be doing more. I agree.
He's mint. Right, let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Dudley Boys reviewing Monday Night Raw. Yes, they're going to have to put up with me moaning about the Iconics not winning their tag titles. So make sure you join us for that. Plus, let us know your thoughts, Twitter questions, all that sort of thing on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch, they can follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for this guy. Look at that beaut.
For those of you who are listening to the news as a podcast, it's a hippo. It's a picture of a hippo. You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Hippo Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
That's the noise a hippo makes. So.